All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Rolling Out Star Studio. Today we have a very special guest. Today we have one of the biggest in the game right now. We have one of the biggest in Hollywood. Munson Seed is actually calling me as we just started, and you just said say hello to me.
Ah,
I'll call him back after the interview.
all right.
But one of the biggest in Hollywood, 2024. You talk about a new book, a new series, a new number one. We got Will back in the building. Will back.
What's up? What's happening?
Will, how you feeling, man? How is 2024 been for you? Like, just with all of those accomplishments and even more that I haven't even named yet.
Incredible. This is, first of all, it's a milestone year for me. I turned 50 this year.
Sir.
And I have been able to do some things that I had on, my list, my life list. And one of them was the book, announcing the fact that I got a new book coming out, Who Better Than You. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I got a chance to go to the Olympics for the first time. I've never been. Went and hit the Olympics in Paris. I am training to run my first marathon this year, so I'm excited about that. Wanted to, push the bounds of my physical and mental skills, and so I'm running my first marathon. And then, of course, amongst some other things that are happening, Fight Night, my latest project. One of my biggest projects to date, and certainly the one that I'm most excited about. That's Fight Night.
Yes, sir. Congratulations for it all. And like you say, so all of these things, including I think Fight Night, you can even go back to last year, right? Last year when Fulton County honored you for, kind of all the arts and things that you have provided in the county and within the city of Atlanta. And we can look at what Atlanta is right now, but I think what makes Fight Night so just like when I saw, I was like, oh, this is really creative. This, just like what made Atlanta, and going back to the late '60s and the early '70s, and when you think about all the black figureheads and power people, power players that made it what it is. So I just wanted to ask you, man, like, what has Atlanta meant to you since kind of moving up from Florida and just establishing your dynasty here?
Oh man, I think about Atlanta. I think about a city of dreamers. I think about a city of entrepreneurs. I think about a city of hustlers. And that is me. I'm a little bit all three of those. That is why I have found my tribe, so to speak, here in Atlanta. I love the fact that you've got amazing creative energy, you've got amazing business energy, you've got people that are striving and aspiring to absolutely achieve the highest heights of success, many who have done that. And I certainly have benefited from the fact that I'm amongst a community of folks who are all like-minded. And it's interesting because that ties into Fight Night, because Fight Night is about these dreamers, these hustlers, these entrepreneurs, and about Atlanta at a time before it was Atlanta. A pivotal moment of its growth. It is at an inflection point. We're talking early 70s. We're talking Atlanta is not looked at with a revered eye on the national, much less global stage. It's not New York. It's not LA. It's not Chicago. It's not Miami. It's Atlanta. We don't know what Atlanta is going to become. But the dreamers, the hustlers, the entrepreneurs that are behind the story of Fight Night certainly help propel Atlanta into the city that we know today. An amazing Black Mecca, Black Hollywood, a place that is a global force to be reckoned with.
Right. No, 100%, 100%. And speaking of the power force and Black Mecca and all of those things in the city of Atlanta, congratulations to you to becoming a part of the ownership group for the Atlanta Falcons this past spring. I just wanted to kind of ask you, what does that mean to you to be a part of an ownership group in the NFL?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, you're talking about such a small group of people of any demographic, any race. It's just a small group. You talk about sports ownership and then specifically NFL ownership. There are not many people that own any piece of an NFL team, the biggest sports franchise in the world. Then when you talk about African Americans, that list gets much, much, much smaller. So I'm very, very proud to be a part of that very, very small group, but not just because I'm a part of it and for my own legacy and my own growth. Certainly, all that is very important. But really, because I am hopeful that it will allow the next generation, right? Young Will Packer, the next Will Packer, be they male, female, be they somebody that has, got ties to sports, or maybe not, to see that, okay, success for me is not just about being on the gridiron or being able to, have athletic prowess on a basketball court or on any type of field. Also, it's being in the ownership ranks. Somebody like Will Packer can succeed in that world. And so I can too, as a young person watching it, because we know that we aspire to be what we can see. That is what drives our dreams, is the things that we can see. It lets us know what is achievable. So I'm super proud. I can't say enough how monumental it is for me, but also I hope for the community at large.
And speaking of, kind of like on the flip side of that, of kids seeing what they can see and being what they can see, all of those things. With your new book, Who Better Than You? One of the principles I believe is working when nobody's watching. What's the work you do when nobody's watching? What's one
Yes.
crazy story of you on a come up where you just did something that people won't even believe when they weren't watching?
Yeah, you know what? I am a big proponent of, you put the work in when nobody's watching, and that's what makes everybody pay attention later. We live in a world now of social media and immediate gratification. People feel like they got to tell everybody what they're doing at all times, right? Pics or it didn't happen. So it feels like, okay, every time I'm working out, I got to post. Every time I'm eating healthy, I got to post. Every time I'm working on a new project, got to let people know. I need that immediate validation. That's how so many of us feel. When if you put your nose down and grind and work hard, don't block out the noise. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Worry about what you're doing. When you do pop your head up and you announce what you're doing, everybody's going to pay attention to it. I remember coming out of college, I was student chief justice of the student Supreme Court at Florida A&M. I was on the radio. I had shot a tiny little movie called Chocolate City while I was at FAMU. A lot of people knew me. And then I moved to Atlanta from Tallahassee, and I went dark. And that's because I needed to work to get to the next phase of success. And a lot of people were like, what happened to Will Packer? He was making movies, and then did he fall off? Has he failed? What's happening with him? And I didn't worry about that outside noise. And you know what I was doing? I was delivering newspapers. I was waking up at 4 in the morning every morning and feeling, even though I had a college degree, I had an engineering degree, engineering wasn't my passion. I knew that it was film. But in order to make that work, I needed to make ends meet until I could get my first film post-college off the ground. I would get up at 4 in the morning, and I would fill my Honda Civic up with newspapers from the AJC, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And I would do that from 4 in the morning to about 6:30. And then in the afternoon, I would sell newspaper subscriptions door to door. I would go and knock on people's doors. If you're somebody in Atlanta that ever had Will Packer knock on your door selling a newspaper subscription, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry, because that was part of the foundation of me chasing my dream and developing that work ethic. But in between, I was working on my dream. Having those jobs, which were hourly jobs, which were menial, which were very, very hard to do, and were not sexy and not things that you post on the internet and say, look at me at 4 in the morning delivering newspapers, right? Being able to do that allowed me to have flexibility, because if I had gone out and taken a corporate job in my engineering field, then my day was going to be owned by whatever corporation that I was working for. This allowed me an opportunity to go out and chase my dream in between. I just need to make enough money to eat. So the thing that I encourage people to do, and that I talk about in the book, Who Better Than You, is what is that dream that you're going after? What is it that you want to do, and what are you willing to sacrifice? If the dream is big enough, remember, if it's big enough and something that you got to do and you got to have, the sacrifice has got to be just as big. And that's the part that people don't want to hear, but that is the key. You got to be willing to sacrifice on the level of the dream you're trying to achieve. And that's what I did. I put that work in. Nobody was watching. It was tough. It was hard. It was lonely. But then when I was finally able to get my film projects going, I was able to make everybody pay attention later.
And speaking of the Rattlers, your speech this past week at the MEAC Swag Challenge at FAMU 24-23 win over Norfolk State. Yes. What exactly did you tell those kids?
Oh, one time for the Rattlers. So So FAMU played in what's called the MEAC SWAC. Those are the two conferences that played Challenge in Atlanta, and FAMU was getting all that it could handle from Norfolk State, and FAMU was down for a significant part of the game and had to come back. This is the first game of the season, not in our home stadium, and I like to think that in that fourth quarter, when their backs were against the wall, they hearkened back to a pregame speech in the locker room from one Will Packer. Did I play college football? No, not the point. Focus on the point. The point was that I told those kids in that locker room, I said, hey, you stand on the shoulders of greatness because FAMU had just won the national championship last year. A lot of great people come before you and you got a great legacy. But forget all of that because right now it's your time. It's your time. And the president of the university had spoken before me and said, hey, guys, win, lose, or draw, I'm proud of you. And I came in and I said, forget that too. I said, there is no win. I'm sorry, there is no lose and there is no draw. There is only win. I smell fear on the other sideline. I don't smell fear in this locker room. Let's go out and do what we need to do. And if that doesn't make you want to put a helmet on, put some pads on. And I believe that my guys, I'm not saying I'm the only reason that we won, but I did my part. That's what I'm saying. So you want a good pre-locker room speech, go to my Instagram page and see what I said to those kids because I feel like it applies. And for $9.99, you can play that speech at your no.
I feel like like in a situation like that, you can strongly make the argument that the little emotional push that your powerful speech actually gave them the edge in that because it's really comes down to who wants it more when it's a 1 point game, when it's a less than a field goal of a difference in a football game. I wanted to ask you, going back to fight night, we only got a couple more minutes here. In casting, what was the balance between black star power and an accurate depiction of what someone from 1970 Atlanta would sound like?
Oh, well, they go hand in hand, right? Because you want to have with a project like this that is a big project with a wide scope, you want to make sure that you justify the resources that you are spending on a project like this. And so, in order to do that, I wanted big stars. I wanted folks that would get your attention. I think it goes hand in hand with the authenticity of making something that is true to that time period because you want the best actors. So if you can combine the best actors with also the most high profile actors, that's the win. I like to think that we assembled the Black Avengers. You know, you're talking about Kevin Hart, Don Cheadle, Sam Jackson. First of all, I have actual Avengers in here between Don and Sam and even Terrence Howard. Do your research. And then you add Taraji into the mix. I got the best of the best. And so to me, it was really, really important that we had not only really big actors who were known, but also actors that were excellent because it was so important to authentically portray these real life characters from a different time period.
And you know, so where can the people stream the series on Peacock? When does it first air? All of those good things.
Yeah, so the series drops September 5th on Peacock. Go get Peacock. There's a lot of exciting things happening over at Peacock. I'm proud to be a part of the family there at NBC Universal and at Peacock. We're going to stream the first 3 episodes will drop September 5th. And then on a weekly basis, you will be able to catch up and follow the story of Chicken Man and the Black Godfather and JD Hudson and all these names that you will get to know because hopefully you will get invested in these characters like we are. I'm super excited for people to see it, but it's dropping on Peacock September 5th.
Also, I have to shout out Chloe, who is from Atlanta.
All day.
Shout out to Chloe as well.
Absolutely. But, we got an amazing cast of young gunners, I like to call them as well. Not just the legends, but you talk about Chloe Bailey, Lori Harvey is in there. Yes. You've also got Melvin Gregg and Miles Bullock and Sinqua Walls. These are people whose names I promise you're going to know because they went toe to toe with the folks that you know.
Man, Will Packer, man, 10 number ones. Man. So you can go down the list. You can name them. Yeah, but you could just go on the book trailer if you really want to see all the lists and accomplishments and things of that sort. Make sure you get the book and make sure you support Fight Night, all new on the Peacock series as well. One thing I wanted to ask was, how did you get such an accurate depiction of like how did you get these stories? Because these stories are based on there's a note like the beginning and end of every episode that they are kind of based on true life events. Mm. How did you get kind of a good balance of that? Because, you know, people don't want to like snitch, like, you know, like I was a pimp, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, when I was pimping in the '70s. Like, so how did you get those real life stories and everything like that? How'd you guys kind of fish around for those tales?
Yeah, no, we had a great person on our team named Jeff Keating who did a lot of the research that was necessary. He and Kenny Burns are the ones who originally pitched this story to me. And the research that Jeff Keating had done on the true life stories of these people, it was invaluable. It really was. And ultimately, we went and we did a deal for the life rights to Chicken Man and to JD Hudson. And that was necessary in order for us to tell the story the way that we did. But we were also able to take a lot of license. So many of the characters are amalgamations of several people. And the reality is that when you ask about, how do you tell these stories without it feeling like you're snitching or putting people in jeopardy, time, to be honest with you. This is not a story that you could have told right away. Not with a lot of those people still in the life that they were in. But now that it has been, 50 plus years, we're okay. We're comfortable telling the story the way that we do.
I want to ask you about Ali. Like, did your reverence or respect for Ali grow at all during this project?
No question. I mean, the respect and reverence that I have for Ali, I already saw him as a global icon like a lot of people, but I got to know what he really went through. A lot of people forget that he was a polarizing figure at the time of this Fight Night series. He was somebody that could not get a sanctioned boxing match. He was effectively blackballed by the Boxing Federation. Nobody would allow him to fight, not many people at all in their various states. And Atlanta and Georgia stepped up and allowed it. But even when he came to Atlanta, you had a lot of people, and a lot of this did fall along racial lines. You had a lot of people who felt like he was a draft dodger, a lot of people that felt like he was immoral and turning his back on his country. Then you had other people that felt like he was standing on his morals. A lot of people that felt like he was standing up for what he believed in and what was right and what a lot of other people believed in. So people forget what a polarizing figure he was at that time. My respect for him certainly only grew the more that I learned about him through this process of making Fight Night.
And you guys also had a kind of a cameo of Ali. Ooh, I don't know if I can say this. This is walking through the Morehouse campus.
You can
And
say that.
okay,
Yeah.
great, great.
Yeah.
And there were like halfway like protesters of
Yeah.
people like who hated him at the time because of his decision to decline going into the draft and going to war. And then there was also the people like, Ali,
Yeah.
a lot of the students on campus at Morehouse. For you as an HBCU product, how important was it to get that kind of HBCU representation in the project?
Oh, so important. Number one, I'm proud HBCU graduate, and I'm always trying to uplift and promote HBCUs every chance I get. But the other thing is that it was accurate. It was accurate in terms of the depiction of Ali going to the AUC, having interaction with those students, doing a press conference there, getting a lot of love from the AUC students, but getting a lot of hate from the local white community who felt like we don't want you here. You are a problem. You are indicative of what is wrong with America. And we know even contemporary figures today that face similar scrutiny and that are similarly despised, unfortunately, for doing what they believe in. Ali was certainly one of the first and certainly one of the most high profile to stand on his own business, if you will.
Why do you and Kevin Hart work so well together?
Well, that's all me. I'm just gonna tell you that now. That's so you're welcome, Kevin. You know what? Because we're simpatico in terms of our work ethic. We both believe that you gotta work very hard. You gotta bust your ass. Now Kevin and I haven't always seen eye to eye. There's a story that I talk about in my book, Who Better Than You, and I talk about how earlier on in my career, he almost sunk my career. Kevin Hart almost single-handedly destroyed my movie career when we were working on a big movie, and he lied to me. The brother lied, and I still feel a little sensitive about it. But we have since moved past it. But what I talk about in the book, and I tell that whole story, is how you have to be prepared to expect the unexpected. And you have to be ready to navigate things that you're not prepared for, even with folks that are on your team. How many of you know people that will let you down in the moment and you will be like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be on my side, right? That's how I felt with my brother. But we have worked together now. This is our 8th project together.
Man.
It's the most I've done with any actor and the most he's done with any producer. So he and I are tight for life.
And what do you think about him as he kind of transitioned into the production business and everything with Heartbeat Productions as
Oh
well.
yeah, I would never bet against Kevin Hart. He's got an incredible business mind. He's got what it takes. You're not going to outwork him. So when he sets his mind to something, I would bet on him accomplishing it. That's for sure. And Fight Night's a great example of that because he had to take this role very seriously. He was going against some powerhouse actors. He's not playing a comedic role. This is
Right.
definitely a drama. He has to go in and immerse himself into that role of Chicken Man, and he did that.
You think people should binge or watch week by week?
I think they should watch as soon as it comes out. I think that we were very intentional in terms of the cadence, the release cadence of the project. And so the first three will be available September 5th. Get in there, take the weekend, watch all three. And then as they come out, hopefully you will be voraciously consuming each episode. That's my hope.
Well, what are some of your? I like that word. This is just a side note. This is, what are some kind of your reading habits? To like expand your vocabulary and everything like that.
I read a lot. I actually have been listening to more audiobooks recently. That's a big thing of mine, only because I enjoy the storytelling. And it doesn't have to be a fictional book. It can be a true story or it can be a motivational book. But I like the process of telling the story. And some authors take their audiobooks very, very seriously. So, but I read a lot. I try to consume as much as I can. Obviously, in my business, I have to read a lot of scripts and screenplays. But in terms of like expanding my mind with things that I don't know, it is reading as much as I can.
Do you have an opportunity to smell the roses?
Ooh, you have to make those opportunities, right? You have to be somebody that is willing to work very hard, but also play very hard. And you have to make sure that you are balancing because if you are running on E, if you've got nothing left, it doesn't matter what you accomplish or how hard you work if you're not able to enjoy it. You work this hard, each of us who are out there who are grinding, you're grinding so that you can appreciate the successful moment. So even though there's always another hill to climb, always something else, another challenge to overcome, take the time, and I've learned this over the course of my career, to look around. When you reach a plateau, take a moment, enjoy that view, breathe. There will be time for you to get to that next mountain. But what I have learned and what has helped me in my growth and also my mental sanity is to take a moment to appreciate and acknowledge for myself what I have accomplished.
All right, Will Packer, you heard it here. First, one of the more impactful black men and men, period, in all of Hollywood, humans, period, of his era, of his time. Will Packer, we thank you so much for stopping by, rolling out. And until next time, excuse me, bless you, bless you. And until next time, make sure you guys all check out Fight Night on Peacock starting September 5th. Until next time, as always, I'm Rashad Milligan. Peace out.